Welcome to Noble, a network of owners, business leaders, and entrepreneurs. Here, we focus on the 5 stages of business: launching an idea, establishing a business, hiring employees, creating leaders, and then expanding your impact. We hope you enjoy today's session.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome from the great big old state of Texas. I'm still getting used to how big everything is here in Texas, but it's so good to be with you guys today. I actually popped out my chat box and put it on a separate screen, so hopefully I'll be able to see your comments and questions. But before we dive in today, I kind of want to get kind of a read for where everybody is at. So how many of you currently have a lead magnet already developed and put on your website or wherever else you may be promoting it? Anybody? Just put in the chat box lead magnet if you already have a current lead magnet already. Okay, see 1, 2. Okay, so it looks like a majority of you do not have one. So you're in the right place. Of those that do have a lead magnet, write the word conversion if it's actually converting for you. If you're actually getting people to actually sign up to receive your lead magnet, go ahead and write the word conversion if it's actually doing something for you. No pens being there, yep. That's great. Okay, cool. So you all are in the right place. I kind of expected those answers. So what I'm going to do is dive in. I'm going to share my screen right now. Can you guys all see? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, okay, awesome. All right. So today we're going to talk about how to create and promote low-priced lead magnets. And I'm going to skip that. Here's an interesting stat. Well, 70% of businesses use lead magnets. Only a small percentage see real success. That's a pretty big number, right? I've been in the online space since about 2008. And though I've kind of switched gears a little bit with what I do with my business, I still try to stay up with the trends, right? Because as a business owner, even though I'm not necessarily doing marketing anymore or websites or things like that, I still need to utilize those things. So I have the advantage because I've been trained and I have experience in the online space and websites and blogs and things like that. And I remember early on, lead magnets were like, they're the big things, right? It's like, you got to have a lead magnet. It has to be free. It's the best way to grow your email list, because if you don't have an email list, you don't have a business. Because an email list, and here's something that may surprise you, a healthy email list, you should be making about $2 per person on that list. When I first heard that, I was like, wait, are you serious? Like $2 per, on average, that's what it comes to. And so really the strength of your company comes down to the size of your email list. And so it was like, you gotta everywhere promote, create a free lead magnet and put it on your website, put it on your socials. If you have a blog, put it at the end of your blog. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. And it worked for a long time. It worked for a long time. But something happened in the space. Okay, something happened with lead magnets. And now these free lead magnets no longer have any value because they're a dime a dozen. And another thing that started to happen was people that did download your lead magnet, the chances were very low that they were actually going to purchase anything that you were going to try to sell them. And so what happened was all these email lists started to get really large with people that would never buy from you. Now, for those of you that have an email subscription software like MailChimp or ConvertKit or any of those, you know that they're going to charge you based on how many people you have on your list. So what was happening is everybody was downloading these free lead magnets. They were growing their email lists, but they're the wrong people. They're just tire kickers, people who are just more interested in the freebie, but who would never really pay you for your products or services. So now you're having to pay for those people on your list who shouldn't even be there in the first place. And so there's been this transition. And then over the last couple of years, there's been an uptick in actually creating lead magnets that are not free anymore, but you actually put a dollar sign to them and you make the lead magnet so valuable that people will pay you a low price. And here's the amazing thing is that if people will pay you for your lead magnet, the chances increase that that person is going to be an ideal client. Because here's the thing, if they're not going to pay you for a $7 or $27 lead magnet, do you think they're going to pay you for a $500 product or service or even a $5,000 product or service? No. If you can't get them to buy this low ticket item, then the chances are very low that they're actually going to purchase your products and services. So this is a great way then to really be able to grow your email list with qualified buyers. How many of you would rather have qualified buyers than tire kickers on your email list? Let me know in the chat, which one would you rather have, tire kickers or buyers? I want to see where you guys are at. I hope I know what yeah, good, yep, awesome, right. We want qualified buyers. I had a client who hadn't had an email list, and when they came to me, there was over, he had about 1,500 people on his list. And as we went through the list, we started to look, and I asked him, I said, do you know any of these people? Like, have any of these people became buyers? And as we went through that list, we got down to about 500. We shrunk the list down to about 500 people. And I said, are you sure? Like, so I said, I just gave the benefit of the doubt. I said, okay, we'll shrink it down to 500. We got rid of everybody else. And then what we did was we thought through, and we'll talk about this today. We kind of thought through, okay, what is a paid lead magnet that we can use? And so we thought through that, and we actually created a $27 lead magnet, and we actually grew his list back up to about 15 to 1,800 people. And as of today, and I was going to take a screenshot of this, but as of today, I've helped that business generate around $30,000 worth of new business based on having people purchase that paid lead magnet. Then on the back end, we offer them a product or service. Okay, so you see the difference there. Like he had this big list, but nobody was buying. But as soon as we put value to that lead magnet and people started buying it, they became more. They became buyers. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about what this looks like today and kind of walk through the process. But here's kind of the big belief that I have. I believe everything you desire for your business's growth and success is on the other side of mastering low price lead magnets, building an email list full of buyers, not tire kickers. So we're gonna ditch the free lead magnets moving forward after today. Okay, that might surprise some of you, but we're gonna ditch them. I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna present to you today a new opportunity to do something new, something that is working. And it's working across the industry. It's working across many different industries. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, it would never work for me, I want to challenge you to put this into action and see if it actually makes a difference in your business. Okay. So we're going to talk about the 3 secrets today: how to create low price lead magnets that convert better than free ones, how anyone can easily create a low price lead magnet that sells, and how to successfully promote your low price lead magnet, even if you have a small audience. Okay. So secret number 1, how to create a low price lead magnets that convert better than free ones. So many people believe that free lead magnets are the best way to attract leads because they're easy and everyone uses them, right? So that's kind of the old way of thinking, but unfortunately, a lot of people still are stuck in that mindset of, well, I got to create something free because if I don't, then people will not buy it. And here's the problem: if people are not buying your lead magnet, there's only one reason for that. It's because you have not found a problem that is strong enough that they want to solve, and you create something to help them solve that problem. You know, we were on a one-on-one Noble call yesterday, and Chaz did a really good job of really hammering the point. You got to know your people, you got to know the problem that they have, and you got to know how to solve it. And so this applies to business. If your business is struggling, I would go back and try to figure out, do you have the problem nailed? Or are you just creating the problem and kind of projecting that problem onto them and then trying to solve it? Or do you really, really know and understand your client's problems? Then once you really understand their problems, then you come in with a solution to help them solve that problem. And that is where you start to make money. And so the biggest problem I think we have as entrepreneurs is we do not take the time to really understand the problems that we are trying to solve. And we are trying to project our problems onto them, and they're saying, that doesn't make sense. No, like that's not my problem. And so we have to stop trying to project what we think their problems are, and we have to get to know what their problems are. Then when we fully can understand that, then we can provide them with products and services that will actually solve the problem that they have. And that's the same thing with these lead magnets. The whole point and goal of a lead magnet is to help them get onto the journey. I want you to write that down: to help them get onto the journey of solving that problem, because your lead magnet will not be the thing that provides them the full solution, but it will provide enough of a solution to make them think, wow, if I paid that person for this lead magnet and it helped me solve even a tiny bit of my problem, what's it going to be like when I hire that person to help me actually solve the totality of my problem? And see, that is the goal of a lead magnet, is to get them onto that journey of solving their problem. And that's why I think a lot of lead magnets fail, because it doesn't do that. Okay. So we have to switch. We have to change our mindset. Okay, and we talked about this. The problem with free lead magnets is that they have a low perceived value now. They're not as much, there's not as much value. See, back in the day, people were so ready to give up their email address. Put in the chat box today, right now, do you feel like giving your email address away to just anybody? Say yes or no in the chat box. Yes or no? Yeah, we're getting some no's. Now, If you saw something that had a lot of value and you knew that it could get you on the road, on the journey to solving a problem, would that help you give up your email address a little bit easier? Yes. Yep. Yep. See, right? So are you guys getting this so far? Like put a thumbs up in the chat if you're getting this. Okay. So the new way of doing things is we want to assign a price to increase perceived value and commitment. How many of you how many of you put more effort into something that you actually purchase? How many of you actually put more effort if you have skin in the game? Just put skin in the game in the chat box. Is that true or not? Do you tend to put some more more effort into something that you actually pay for versus not? Yeah, yeah. Now, this presentation is a little bit different than normal, but because of who I am and because of my business and because of my passion, I need to bring in a little bit of God here, a little bit of the Bible here, a little biblical principle here. Okay. We are out to serve people first and foremost. We are out to serve people first and foremost. Did Jesus serve people first and foremost? Absolutely, he did. And so when we're thinking about helping people and serving people, is it better? Is it serving people when we provide them something that they do not follow through on, or is it serving people when we provide them something that they are more likely to follow through on? Right? I think the answer is we want to give people something that they can actually follow through on. Now, we can only go so far. Like we can't be there holding their hands, right? It's still up to them to follow through on the thing, but we can do our part in helping them get there if we just put on this mind of Christ, this servant heart, this servant attitude. And so it is true that if people buy something, they are more inclined to actually follow through, then would you think it would be logical that we create a lead magnet that has a little bit of a value added to it, something that gets skin in the game so that they can actually go through it, right? So we want people to finish our programs. We want people to finish our programs and services and get the results that they need. And so it is our job, it is our responsibility to do everything we can to get them the results that they want. Okay. And so these low price lead magnets, again, this is the start of that journey of helping them get that solution to their problem. Okay, so by assigning a price, it increases their value and it helps them get skin in the game. So what are we talking about in terms of how much do we assign to these lead magnets? Okay, and I would say anywhere from $7 to $27, depending on what kind of what kind of lead magnet it is. And we'll talk about some ideas of some potential things that we can be creating. Okay. So here are some ideas of what you could do. You can create an ebook or a guide. So what you would do is you would really try to figure out, okay, what problem are they trying to solve? And then what can I create that will help them get onto the path or the journey to finding a solution to their problem. So it's more about education. It's more about helping them either identify what their problem is, because a lot of people don't even know what their problem is, right? And so some of these lead magnets will actually be created so that you can help them identify what their problem is. Some people know what the problem is, but they don't know what the solution is. So maybe what you do is you create something that actually starts providing them the steps that they need to take in order to get that solution. Okay, so those are two different types. You're either helping them identify their problem, or if they know what their problem is, you're helping them identify what the solution is. Now, I was trained way back in the day that with the lead magnet, what you want to do is give them the what, but not the how. This is what you're supposed to do. And then the idea is, oh, okay, well, that's great. Now I know what to do. How do I do it? And that's when they would actually hire you to actually help them do that. And I was in that camp for the longest time. That's how I did this. But then I started going back to, okay, what's the biblical, like what's the biblical principle here that I can apply, right? And guys, this is all about doing business God's way. You have to come back and ask yourself these questions from a biblical perspective. And so where I landed was, well, I get that philosophy, but what I discovered was that is a scarcity mindset. That is a scarcity mindset. Do they need to pay? Okay, yes, I'm a value, for free. Yeah, let's that's a good question. Let's come back to that one. Um, so now I'm not afraid to give them the how either. Because here's what I've noticed is you can give them the how, but they may not do it. They may not feel confident doing it. They may still feel inadequate doing it. So I think when we get into this whole, well, just give them the what and not the how, that's really, we are really dealing with the scarcity mindset there because we're kind of holding back because we're afraid that, well, if we give them the how, they're not going to hire us. And that is just not the case because, again, I mean, people write books on how to do things, right? But how many people actually follow through with that? Very little. Because sometimes they do need us to come alongside of them and actually help them do the thing. Some people need accountability. Some people just need that coach to come alongside and help them. Okay, so when you're thinking through what you could be creating, don't be afraid to give them some of the how. Okay, and don't get stuck into that scarcity mindset of, well, they're not going to buy it. I give them the how, because we're living in a day now where they probably end up hiring the person that gives them a little bit of the how. So imagine if you give them a lot of the how, they're going to be thinking, wow, if they gave me all this how in a low price lead magnet, what are they going to give me if I actually pay them for their products or services? Okay, so you can create an ebook, a guide, a checklist, cheat sheet, templates or worksheets. So you're probably thinking to yourself, Jeff, this sounds a lot like old-fashioned lead magnets, and they are. Okay, tools and resources. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's what's happening right now. Here's how you can increase the perceived value of something. And I'm going to give you this formula. Bundle, bundle. Okay, create an ebook that teaches them the thing. Then when you teach them the things, bundle it with the template. So if you're teaching them how to budget, let's just take budgeting for an example. Let's say you're a financial your business is you help people with their financial planning. So you give them an ebook that explains what that is and how to do it. Then what you can do is bundle a worksheet with that. So now you're actually giving them some practical things that they can do. Okay, then think through like what other tools and resources do they need in order to get that problem solved. So then you bundle, in addition to that, you bundle, maybe it's another small ebook, just tools and resources for financial planning. So you see how so you go from just creating these one-offs, which is what people did in, back in the day, to now you start thinking through a bundle of of products. Okay, so an ebook, then you provide them with a checklist. Here is 5 things you should do to make sure you're financially free in the next 10 years. Okay, cool. And then, oh wow, now I have a worksheet that will actually help me create a budget so that will help me get freedom in 10 years. So you see how bundling these different aspects of a lead magnet is then how you increase the value. And now let me ask you, put in the chat box, would you be more likely to buy just an ebook, or would you be more likely to buy a bundle like I was talking about, like the ebook, the checklist, the budget worksheet, a whole sheet of tools and resources so that I don't have to go out and do the research myself? Yeah, bundle. Yes, please. Yes, right. So now you see how we're actually increasing the value of the lead magnet. And all we did was we started thinking through how can I bundle these things into a package of products that make sense, right? We don't want the ebook to talk about dogs and have a checklist about cats, right? Like that's like, wait, that doesn't make sense. But if we can think through a logical flow of how this might work and create a bundle, that's how you increase the value. Okay. If you're tracking along with me, put the word tracking in the chat box. Is this making sense? Are you tracking along so far? Good. Good. Got a couple people. Awesome. Okay. So you might think people won't pay for lead magnets. In reality, pricing a lead magnet adds value and attracts more serious, engaged leads who are ready to invest in your offerings. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, well, people won't pay for my lead magnets. Well, let me tell you what, if people aren't paying for your lead magnets, I'm gonna give you a little test here because I said this earlier. If people aren't buying your lead magnets, why are they not buying? Anybody that can remember what I said, put it in the chat box. Why are they not buying? Anybody remember? Exactly. Yep. You're not solving their problem because most likely, you don't understand their problem yet. Okay. And I see a lot of people spend a lot of time creating these things and they get it wrong, and then they get frustrated because nobody's buying, and then they just give up. And I don't believe the people on this call are people that give up. I believe that about you guys. And the thing about business is it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to truly understand who your audience is, what their problems are. It's a lot of trial and error. When you create these things, it's not like you create it, it doesn't work, and you just say, oh, it didn't work, I give up. I don't want to see giver uppers, if that's even a thing. I don't want to see people give up. If it doesn't work, go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, okay, why didn't this work? And then you try it again. You try it again. But so often I see people get paralyzed because it doesn't work. And then they don't reiterate or iterate. and change and try something different. You see, the fastest way to learn something is by doing something. Let me say that again. The quickest way to learn something is by doing something. So if you're not doing, you're not learning, and then all you're doing is sitting back and you're not making progress in your business. And so if you're not in this for the long haul, if you're not ready to roll up your sleeves and figure this out, I'm gonna be tough love here, then get out of the game. And I say that with all love. But if you're not willing to put your feet one foot in front of the other and move forward, and all you're doing is staying stuck and you don't want to do the work, go out and get a job. Because that's going to be a whole lot easier. But again, I don't believe this group has that mindset. I think this group wants to move forward. They want to try new things. They want to get it right. They want their business to grow. They want their business to succeed. They want to serve their clients. They want to create products and services that actually make a difference and have an impact in the lives of your clients and customers, because you know that if you can change their lives through the products and services that you create, that is going to have a bigger impact, because now those people are going to be able to go out and also make an impact because you've helped solve their problem. So stay with it. It's taken me years to figure out what Business God's Way was going to be all about. It took me years to figure out who my audience is. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take years, but for me, it took a while. It took me having to learn, how can I actually figure out the problems that my clients have? And one thing made a difference. Talk to them. Like, it's so simple, but yet we don't think about that. Like, how do we, how do we get that? Like, how do we learn? How do we know? Well, you need to talk to them. And I tell you what, people love sharing those things with you. You just have to ask them. Okay. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. So sequence number 2, how anyone can easily create a sell low price lead magnets that sell. You might believe you don't have the skills or resources to create a lead magnet that people will pay for. So we're going to kind of get into the process for creating a low ticket or low price lead magnet. And we talked about this. So number 1, this is most important, and this will probably take the most time, but you need to identify a specific pain point or problem your audience has. Okay, so another survey here. How many of you know what your clients' pain points or problems are? Put yes or no in the chat. Okay, we have a yes, yes, yes. Okay, we have no, okay. Keep going. I want to see a few more of you. Okay, so mostly yes, we do have a no. So for those of you that know your clients' pain points and problems, this might be a little bit easier for you to do. For those of you that don't know, what I would recommend is I would set a goal. I would set a goal. And I would challenge yourself to schedule at least 10 Zoom calls with a current client or past client. And I would just have a conversation with them. And I would point blank just ask them, hey, this is what I would ask them. I would ask them, hey, what are some of your hopes? What are some of your aspirations? Like when you get to that place of feeling like I am there, what does that look like for you? What does there look like for you? In my situation, most of my clients, you know, the one thing they want? Freedom. And the reason they want freedom is because many of my clients see their business as a means to an end. And that end is providing them opportunities to actually get involved with different ministry opportunities. And so the business becomes a vehicle for them to do that. And so many of them, they want freedom. So they want me to help them set up their business so that they can actually have that freedom. And so I've also learned what are the things that got them stuck from getting that freedom. And a lot of that stuff is what I coach them on. It's the products and services that I create. It's, you know, I'm an author, so I'm thinking through, okay, what's the next problem that I can help them solve by writing a book? And so I'm actually on my third book right now, which is going to come out this fall, which I'm really excited about. And it's going to be totally different than my first two. But I'm going to talk a lot about identity and how identity in Christ really is the linchpin to getting success in almost anything in life. Because if we don't understand who we are in Christ, we don't understand the power that we have in Christ. And therefore, when we face challenges and problems, we do not bring that power of Jesus to bear in those situations. And then we tend to just to get discouraged, and we tend to back away because we're not living in that identity. And so for me, my audience, identity is one of those things that prevents them from getting to their endpoint because they don't really fully understand their identity. And trust me, if you don't know your identity, it just doesn't impact business. It impacts almost everything, right? So if you don't know your audience's pain points or problems, I think you have those, challenge yourself, get those calls booked and ask them where do they want to be. Then I would ask them, what's preventing you right now from getting there? That's going to be the question right there. What's gonna prevent you from getting there? Well, then let them talk. Trust me, they're gonna share. And I would record the call so you can go back. I would use the AI tool so that you have a transcript so you can go back. And then the last question I would ask is, what do you think you need to get there? To get to that end result? What do you think you need? Now, they may say things that they actually don't need. They may say things that they might need. But here's the thing. As you do more and more of these calls, you're going to start to see a pattern develop. And if you see a pattern develop, guess what? Guess what? Do you think that's a clue that you might have stumbled upon a problem or a pain point that a bulk of your audience is going to have? I would guess so, right? So identify that pain point. And then develop that solution. Figure out, okay, based on those conversations, whether you have to have those conversations or you already know what the pain point is or the problem, I want you to really let this sink in. Think about bundles. Think about bundles. What could you bundle together then to help them get on that journey of solving their problem? And I think the easiest bundle to start with is what I was talking about. Is it can be an ebook, it can be a checklist, it can be a template, right? That's the easiest thing to start with. If you get really zealous and you know, you like one of those overachievers, create a mini course that goes along with it. Say, but Jeff, I don't know how to, I can't do that. Yeah, sure you can. Well, I don't have the technology. I don't have the big camera. I don't have this and that. Do you have one of these? I mean, I don't know, but put in the chat box if you do not have one of these. I'm not talking specifically an iPhone, but I mean, we all have these cameras in our pockets now. And again, we can either take action or we can stay paralyzed. Well, I just don't have the thing. I don't have the thing. You do have the thing. I bought this little stand in Amazon for 20 bucks, right? I have one of these I bought in Amazon for, I don't know, 20 bucks, right? That's all I like. Don't get caught up in what you don't have. Look at what you do have and just hop on the phone. So you know what, guys? Here's the solution. I just want to share it with you, and I'm going to do it over 4 videos. So here's number one. Here's how you identify your problem, and you just talk about it. Number two, now that you have identified your problem, here are 4 things that you can do to overcome that problem. Oh, and by the way, did you read that ebook that I got you? It helps kind of add a little more flavor. And by the way, here are don't forget that you have, worksheets that you can use, right? It may seem like a lot of work, but guys, here's the thing about a digital product like that. You create it once and it's done. Now it's just on autopilot, right? You imagine getting on Stripe. Oh, I just made $7. Up, I just made $7, right? Like it becomes addictive. Okay, so start thinking in bundles. What could you bundle together to increase the perceived value? Okay, is this making sense? Put making sense in the chat if this is. And I know this is a lot. I know we have an hour, and I'm gonna try to get through this. Okay. And then prices, just price it strategically between 7 and 27. And again, how do you do that? It depends on what you put in the bundle, right? If it's maybe just an ebook with a template, maybe it's more of a $7 item. If you add like a little mini course to it, or some kind of other video, maybe it's not even a mini course. Maybe it's just, a 10-minute video that's going to add value. Then maybe you price it at $15, right? But don't go beyond 27, and don't go less than 7. Okay, it's just going to depend on what you include in your bundle. Okay. Okay, again, you may think I can't create anything like this. Well, the truth is, solving a specific problem for your audience is inherently valuable, right? Isn't that true? How many of you will pay somebody to help you solve a problem? I mean, that's why we're all in business, is because we solve problems and we want people to pay for those problems. And if you can pay somebody to help solve a problem, you're going to pay them to do that. I have another client that he was having body pain and didn't know why. And, he spent thousands and thousands of dollars on finding a solution. Why? Because the pain was big enough for him to do that. And he found somebody that actually was able to solve that problem. So if you're thinking, well, I don't know how to create anything valuable, well, the way you do that is by helping them solve a problem that only you can provide, that only you can solve. Okay. So last part, how do you successfully promote this lead magnet? You might be thinking, well, I don't have an audience or platform to successfully promote a lead magnet. Okay, so in the chat box, how many, I want to go down this list. How many of you have social media right now? How many of you are actively on social media? Just put social in the chat box. Yep. Okay. How many of you have somewhat of an email list? I'm not going to put a number, but you have an email list. So go ahead and put email list in the, oh yes, yeah. Okay, how many of you have an email? How many of you have an email? Like a Gmail or a business email? 6 of them. Brian, wow. Then you have 6 opportunities to promote your lead magnet to people, right? Any of you hear of this thing called an email signature? How many of you have one of those email signatures, whether it's one of those fancy ones or something that you can use that Gmail allows you to use? Yeah, yep. So you can utilize that. You can put right in there, hey, you would figure out that hook, which we don't have time to talk about here, but you'll create a hook that would get them to be, oh, I need to check that out. Okay. So that's one way that you can promote. How often do you send out emails every day? Probably a lot if you're like me, right? Social media. How many of you are utilizing your social media profiles to the fullest extent? How many of you in your profiles are saying, hey, here's, I have an offer for you. Um, put the link to that lead magnet in your social profiles. Here's something else that you can do. When you post on social media, how many of you get people that respond? Just put respond in the chat. How many people respond to the things that you post? Yep, respond. Okay. Okay, so we're getting a good. Let me give you a pro tip here. Let me give you a pro tip. When somebody responds to something that you post, I want you to do this. I want you to literally, I want you to message that person. And I want you to say, hey, thank you so much for commenting on my post. I appreciate that you took time to do that. And then add to the conversation if it makes sense, right? So you're building that relationship. You're letting them know. And they're gonna think, oh, that's really cool. Because how many people do you know, or has it been done to you where people actually message you when you post something just to say, hey, thanks for taking time to do that? I bet you 0. I'm gonna take a guess and say maybe nobody on this call has ever had somebody do that. I think I've only had it done a couple of times. Hey, I appreciate that post. Then what you're gonna do is, hey, no pressure here, but I think I have something that might help you. Okay. And say, just if you're interested, here's a link to a free, to a something that I think will help you. And then you just drop the link to your offer, to your lead magnet, and you just let it go. It's not a sales pitch, it's not pressure. You start off by thanking them, and then if it makes sense, you're gonna say, by the way, I think I have something that might help you. Now you may get some no's. You might get some yeses. Okay. So these are just some ways that you can utilize some of these platforms. Okay. So again, and here's the thing, the key to this is don't do this if you post something about your dog and somebody says, oh, you have a cute dog. Oh, cool. Here's a lead magnet I have, right? Hopefully you're posting things that are relevant to your target audience, right? So whether it's a business page or you have a business social media, um, you know, make sure you're posting relevant content for them, because then it makes sense when you make them the offer, right? It's going to be really weird if you're doing that with people who are just commenting on, hey, that dinner looked really delicious the other night. You made me jealous posting that picture, right? Well, thanks for commenting. Here's something you might want to buy. Okay. Um, use your existing list to promote your lead magnet. Now here's a key. For those of you who have a list, but it's kind of been sitting there, I do not recommend that you just email the list out of the blue and say, hey, I have something for you to buy. I would do a re-engagement campaign with your list. And I would just think through how can I provide value to these people? How can I serve these people without asking anything in return? Because you may need to build that relationship with them again. Okay. So you need to be in contact with them. For those of you who have a healthy list and you're doing that already, then it makes sense for you to come and say, hey guys, I've just created this offer for you. I think it's going to be really beneficial. Here's the link, right? And again, here is where when I said you should be making $2 for every one person, and again, that's a generality. But do you see why that's true now if you have a healthy list that you're engaging with and you're staying up with? I know people who have email lists that have put out an email and they've made 30, 40, $50,000 just by sending that to their list first, right? Collaborations and partnerships, partner with influencers or other businesses. So if you know somebody who there's complementary services, not competing, but complementary, do an exchange. Offer their service for them, then have them offer yours. Because they may have an audience that you don't have, but that audience may still very much be your ideal client or could be a potential client. And I'm going to let you know right now, right, the ad space is expensive right now. It is expensive to run ads. So what's happening now is more and more of these partnerships are forming where they're doing collaborations, where they're promoting each other's stuff. And that is a huge payoff. Because again, they may have an audience that you don't have. They may have a little bit of a bigger audience that you may not have, or vice versa. So then it becomes a win-win. Okay. All right. So I mean, just do it. I mean, just let your mind kind of get out of the box a little bit and really think through this process. Because I guarantee that if you can create something of value that's going to solve a problem and you can do it at a low price point, people will buy. You will grow your email list. As long as you're nurturing that email list, like keeping in front of them and communicating with them, and you start presenting your other offers and services, you're going to have people ready to buy those other things. Okay. So, oops, I think I had that slide. That was supposed to be secret 3. Anyway, okay, so that's kind of what I have for right now. I know this is a fire hose thing, and there's a lot to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of open it up for Q&A. I'm going to leave my slides up right now because I have something special that I want to present to you guys. So go ahead. You can come off mute if you have any questions.
I have a question,
Yes.
and I put it in the chat. I don't have a list. I'm just starting new with a new product. So is it okay to just send out, say, a lead message, a lead magnet to everyone in my list, not the businesses, but the people, whether I'm close, whether there's somebody that just emailed me, whether there's somebody I really know, but just a general sweeping, hey, here's this new product.
Yeah. So how good of a job are you doing emailing them? How often do you email that list?
Well, I've never done it. I'm starting out fresh with a brand new list and a brand new product. And it could be people that I know personally, people I don't even know, people who may have sent me you know,
Yeah,
just my general random, if I just went through everybody in my email list for the last, say, 6 months and
yeah,
send them a notice about my product.
yeah. So I would not do that.
Okay,
I would not do that. I know that seems to be the quick way of doing things, but if you have not communicated with them on a regular basis, you need to build that know, like, and trust.
okay,
So what I would focus on is focus on how can I create emails that provide them value, that that helps them teach something or helps them break down a false belief that they may have as to why they're not getting the results that they're getting, help them make that mindset shift, right? That's what you should be focused on right now. But then once you kind of have that conversation going and you build in that relationship with them again, then I would, now are you talking about your product or are you talking about a lead magnet?
well, I'm talking about a lead magnet for
Yeah,
the product.
yeah, so exactly. So yeah, I would engage them first. Don't just come straight out and say, buy my thing. Okay. That will backfire on you quickly. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Hi, Jeff. This is Chris Lipka. I'm actually driving, so I haven't been able to type. But my question is, I'm not familiar with a lead magnet, and so I might have missed that trying to get on the call. Can you maybe just give me a short synopsis of what that is?
Yeah, so a lead magnet could be an ebook, a checklist, a template, um, anything that would help somebody get onto the journey of solving their problem. So it is a small product that, again, you're not going to offer the full solution, but it's going to help them get on track to getting this solution to their problem. Okay, and it can be in the form of an ebook, or some templates that you might want to have them fill out that's going to help them solve their problem. Then you're going to bundle those things together so that they become one product bundle that you can then sell from $7 to $27. And this
Thank
this
you.
week, yep, and this recording will be posted on YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch, you can do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other last questions?
I have a question when it comes to like your old network base that you have. So whether it's like people, you went to school with, grew up with, how do you like to re-engage or wake that up without coming off as, salesy or wanting to push that offer on them?
Yeah. So my first question would be, so you're talking about friends, families, like people you've met in the past, right? Is that
Or
kind of
even like utilizing like your social media. Like if I'm following, 2,000 people, I'm not going to talk to all 2,000
right?
recently, but how can I like reach out to them and bridge that gap, so to speak?
Yeah, I would figure out again what's their number one. Are they your ideal client? Because a lot of people talk to people that are not their ideal client. So if they are, and you have a full understanding of what their problem is, then what I would do before you even try to sell them a lead magnet like this is, again, I would just I would just create content that helps them either with those mindset. Here's another tip. The quickest way you can become a person of influence over, and I don't mean over somebody in a bad way, but the quickest way you can establish your authority is by helping them take a mindset chart that they have, tear it down, and rebuild it up and teach them a truth. So I would create content that does that. Okay. So because if you can do that, if you can help them formulate and break down those beliefs that are keeping them stuck and giving them a new way of thinking about something, they're gonna love you forever. That is the quickest way we can build our authority as the thought leader in our space, is by doing that. Okay, so I would do that. I would figure out how to tell stories. Tell your story. What has your journey been along this process? Like, what were the areas you got stuck, and what did you find as the solution? And just write emails or tell stories like that. I would recommend doing that if you're trying to re-engage an old audience. And then at some point I would say, hey guys, if you want more, and make sure they all make sense, right? That they're all leading to that one thing. But then you say, hey guys, I've, through these conversations, I've noticed that there's a common problem, and I believe that I have a solution that can help you get on the journey of getting that problem solved. Here's something I created. Check it out. I think that's the best way to do any kind of re-engagement. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Okay, any last questions? Okay, I know we're running late, so I'm gonna do this really quick. But I do want to let you guys know, I'm really excited about this. Starting August 18th, I'm gonna be doing a 5-day challenge where we're gonna talk about how to gain confidence in your identity, how to understand your purpose, and how that purpose is connected to your business, and then help you develop a plan so that by the end of the 5 days, you have this plan that you can actually take action on. Okay, so like I said earlier, identity is so important to me. So if you guys are interested, you can have this QR code and just scan it, and you can go right to the registration page. It is free. But we get to hang out for 5 days and just really talk about these important kingdom principles that will help your business kind of grow and make sure that it's being grounded on the word of God. So anyway, with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Corey.